Who is this Jeff Wilson guy?
Almost late, Greg. You're almost late.
Yeah. But I made it.
Okay. This is his suggestion.
That's what they count. Anything else?
That's it. Not that we're aware of. Not that we're aware of.
Okay. And
7 o'clock, open the meeting. We'll call it to order.
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I need to have a moment of silence. Whatever you want to pray for. Okay, this first meeting is the finance meeting. I'm sure we'll all get that is just for there it is. Okay, there's no investments for the period of January 1 to 22. What?
You need to elect a chair for this meeting.
Oh. Got a motion?
Okay.
Second.
Would you like,
I missed out something.
make a motion for someone to be the chair?
Oh, put the chair for this particular meeting. For the president?
For
For this
finance
particular meeting.
For the finance,
finance meeting. We're having two meetings.
Okay.
First is finance, this is the finance right
Okay.
here. We need a chair, the secretary, and that's it for that.
Okay, so I can nominate
Yeah, you nominate everyone.
Ronnie.
Okay. I'll second it.
I'll say I can't second it, I think, so,
No, you can't.
yeah.
No, I think we need a second. Do we need a secretary for that?
yes?
We do?
We also need a
We need to
vote.
vote on that, though.
Yeah.
So we have a first and a second, we need to vote, so all in favor?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'll nominate Nelson to be secretary.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's done. Now I get to read it.
Now you-
Thank you. There's no investments for the period of January 1 of 22 through December 31st of 22. No interest or dividend income for the period January 1, 22 through December 31st of 22. Basically, the finance doesn't do much. Any questions on it? Rudy?
Okay, so what you're saying is there's no investment interest or income, because we do have interest on our statement
Income?
monthly, yes.
Correct. Oh, okay. This has been correct then. It says no interest or dividend income that was signed.
No, I
Modifying it initially.
Okay.
Where can I see the statement?
So I can cross out the
Where
word.
is the statement from the clerk?
well,
There is no actual,
there's no
Actual
interest in
statement.
investments, because we have no investments.
Like I said,
So it
there
should
is
just
no
said no investments.
okay, there's no
Okay.
statement.
So it's correct then.
So this
With
is,
no investments, yeah.
okay.
There's no interest on investment.
Just want to make sure if I'm signing something, I know what I'm signing.
Absolutely. That's why I say you make that correction, there's no interest on investments and initially.
Because there's no investments.
The word after no, so there's no interest on investments.
Because we have no investments.
Correct.
Are we all sending our separate form?
We just need two forms.
Need one for the secretary and one for the trustee. everybody needs to sign the same one.
Gotcha.
You have to vote on it too, though.
Yeah.
You need to vote to accept it.
So
Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept it with the changes that we made for the interest.
Okay, I'll second that.
All in favor?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Now, you can sign.
If you would sign this one as well.
I'll get us to sign this. All right.
I'll pass this on.
Let's see that.
One that's the clerk, one that's the trustee.
This is his idea.
Okay, what else I need to do? It's done. I have motion to adjourn the meeting for the finance.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting for the finance.
I'll second it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Okay, now we have reorganization meeting. Call to order at, I don't know what time it is.
7:06.
It is,
7:06.
7:06, sir.
Okay, approval of
We
minutes.
need to elect chairs and secretaries again, right? Correct. So we need to do chair and secretaries again.
That's fine. Okay, do I have a motion? For chairman, I think I have a motion for chairman.
Jim?
Okay,
I'll second it.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Now do I have a motion for someone to be secretary?
Make a motion for Nelson.
I accepted it.
Someone's got to second it.
Hmm?
I'll second it.
You.
Okay, you'll say it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so that's first. Okay, first thing on the agenda is a salary resolution, which we held with.
Approval of meeting minutes.
Oh, yeah, I got proposed here. October 11th.
This is obviously a lot to read,
Yeah, that's why you need to get them in advance, get a
Okay.
draft in advance.
so I did not see those, so
Right.
if you want me to read them all, it's gonna take a second.
Well, you weren't here, so we.
I was not here, sir, no.
In future meetings, we'll have them prior to meeting.
Correct.
I was here, I can skim through it real quick.
going word by word, I gotta get a general idea.
Okay. You got a general idea on these? I know, you want. Well, I won't find out any questions, but are there any questions on this?
I wondered if you guys could go through and introduce yourselves and tell us who you are and what do you do, because I haven't seen several of you. I have no idea.
We can do that, and you're,
Dawn?
I know who you are.
Why don't
Well,
you finish
we
this
need
up
to
first?
probably finish the meeting minutes
Let's get
real
this
quick.
part real quick.
Well, I make a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Say aye.
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 Which minutes were you voting on?
The first one.
Could you state the date, please?
October 11th.
October 11th, 2022.
Thank you.
Ma'am. Excuse my newness, but there's also on the agenda October 25th, and I do not see meeting minutes from October 25th.
You should have it. Put it there in front of you.
Oh, sorry.
I think that's it.
I've got copies of these.
He was so
Pretty straightforward.
Short and sweet.
I'll make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from October 25th.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Say aye.
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 Introductions.
Start from this end and just go that way. How's that?
I'm Tina Turner. I'm the new township clerk.
Larry Ellis, Township Trustee. I've spent several years in management, been a board member for several years, and here we are.
My name's Ronnie McClure, and my wife will tell you that I talk too much. So we've lived in the Mooresville area since 2001. I've raised 3 boys, ages 23, 19, and 14 in the Mooresville area. Enjoyed raising a family out here, big proponent of that. I spent 17 years on the board of directors for the Junior Baseball League, the last 7 as the treasurer and the vice president. I spent 12 years on the board of directors for the Football League, the last 10 years as the vice president of that as well. I was part of the board that brought down to the new facility here, worked with the school on securing the land and signing the contracts. I have spent about the last 4 to 5 years on the Merit Board, where I met Larry for the first time. We've lived in Heartland Crossing. We now live in North Madison Crossing. For a full-time job, I've worked for United Healthcare for 17 years. I am a sales manager in their Indianapolis office, and that's about all about me.
Well, it's more than I knew. Because it was like I saw your name, I heard you were voted in. It was like I had
Most people that
never
see me
laid
that
eyes on
recognize
you.
me is from the baseball league. I've had the
Well,
pleasure
I'm-
to coach probably
My daughter's like 35, so
not much younger.
didn't have any boys, no baseball
We got
leagues.
softball
We
too,
have sons
so.
the same
Yeah,
age.
nope. She was
That would
band,
go
color
Madison
guard, and all that.
Okay, Jim Johnson, I've lived here since 1972. I was an air traffic controller for a period of time, and I worked for the federal government as a quality auditor. I traveled the entire United States, including Puerto Rico. Audited all the food suppliers that the government buys food from. Then I retired, got lucky. And like I said, I've been here, I've lived in the township since 74. So I've been here for a while. All my kids have gone to the school here in town. Now they're all moved away. It's lonely at home. I've been on the board for, let's see, this will be my 3rd time on the board. It's the first time I've been elected. The other 2 times I caucused in. And like I said, I'd be here another 4 years, I guess. So.
Nelson Hoggett, lived here about 36 years. Got married, wife Nancy, got 1 son, 2 grandsons. Board member, new to the job, obviously. I'm kind of a duck out of water. I've never been in anything politically, so I got a some experience, you know, with getting all the procedures down, but I'll be ready for the next meeting. But this one's kind of what's going on. I retired from AT&T and IBM. I was in IT all my career. Been retired about 11 years. That's about it.
Go ahead, I'm going last.
All right. Well, my name is Anthony McClure. I'm the deputy chief for the fire department. I've been on here on and off of Madison Township for over 30 years. I have a lot of experience in management and stuff like that. I'm currently a full-time special deputy sheriff at the Marion County Sheriff's Office assigned to Eskenazi Health. That's what I do full-time, and then I come here to my passion as the deputy chief for the fire department.
Strong word.
Thank you.
All right, I'm the elephant in the room. So, my name is Jeff Wilson. I'm your new fire chief. I have been in the fire service since 1978. I started with the Perry Township Fire Department in Marion County. I currently work part-time for the Bargersville Fire Department on the night shift. Every third day I'm assigned a ladder truck. So I have about 44 years in this business. I spent 28 years at the White River Township Fire Department. I was a lieutenant, a captain. I was a battalion commander for about 13 years. Then I moved to the office as the deputy chief of fire department operations and emergency medical services. I retired in 2018, moved to Florida. I worked for Lee County EMS in Florida for about 2.5 years. We decided we did not like it. So we moved back, and for some reason I chose to get back in this business because I cannot stay away from putting fires out, no matter how hard I try. Been a paramedic for 20 years. I'm currently the only working paramedic at this fire department on a full-time basis. So we have paramedic coverage in about 36% of the time right now until we fix that problem. I have 5 children between my wife and I, Kathy. We live next to Center Grove High School, and our kids are from ages 34 to 16. My son, Nate Wilson, is a fireman here full-time. However, he's getting ready to depart to go to the Decatur Township Fire Department to work full-time. I guess my passion is for the men and women that work at this fire department who, in my opinion, have really gotten the short end of the stick. I'm a guy who really values my people, and we're going to make sure that these guys are taken care of. We're going to make sure the residents and the visitors of this community are taken care of and get the service that they deserve. We have a system that's broken badly, and it's going to take a lot of time to fix it and a lot of people to fix it. So we're going to need some support and some input from everybody to get that going in the right direction, and hopefully in the next 4 years we can get it done. Anybody have any questions for me? There's a lot more, but I don't want to take up too much of the meeting time.
What was your last name again?
Wilson.
Okay, I didn't hear the part.
That's all right. So, I've been a fireman for a long time in a lot of different places because I just could never get enough of it. So I always have to keep jumping in somewhere where I can put fires out. Also, real quick, if you don't mind, could my guys come up here? All 4 of you, please. I want to introduce some of these guys so you can put some faces with names, and I know you guys probably want to know. This is Captain Steve Hartsock. He is the fire captain at Station 32. Steve's been here for what, 5 years, 6 years? 6. Unfortunately, we're probably going to lose this guy to Bargersville. He's applied in their process, and I'm sure he's going to finish very high, and he'll be on his way, which is a bummer for us. This gentleman is Parker Kloss. He's been here a little over a year. He's one of our full-time firemen. He'll be leaving next month to go to the Indianapolis Fire Department full-time. So say hi to Parker and say bye to Parker.
I'm thinking more damage.
Next guy is one of our full-time company officers, Jeremy Moynihan. He's a lieutenant. He is going to stay with us. He's a lieutenant on the C shift at Station 31 on Kitchen Road. And the last guy is Austin Monday. He's a lieutenant on the B shift at Station 31 on Kitchen Road. Austin has applied for the White River Township Fire Department. and just awaiting to see if he gets the nod to go there. So potentially of our 9 career guys, we're going to lose, well, we're already 1 short. We're going to lose 5 over the next 2 months. So Austin's also the president of the district local union here in Madison
You can
Township.
change your mind, it's not too late.
So I want to try to introduce you guys to all of our firemen as they come to the meetings. The ambulance crew couldn't come up here because we want to leave somebody down south in case we have an issue. So everybody's running down south tonight because our fire station up here is closed. We don't have any staffing for it. So we shut it down about 50% of the time this year, 47 to 50% of the time for no staffing. So it's closed, and these are the 3 of the 5 that are working. So I just want to introduce them to you. And next meeting, I hope there'll be some more here to introduce to you. So that's it. Does anybody have any questions for me? Generally, I'm going to work 8:30 to 4:30. However, right now, you want me to do this? I am the fire chief. I am the EMS director. And I'm still the company officer on the A shift at Station 31. So I'm working a 24/48, and all my days off, I'm working in the office Monday through Friday. So until we get some staffing to properly, safely, and adequately staff the fire department. So don't know when that'll be, but we're going to work on it. So anytime you're around, come by and see me in the office. I might change that to 4 days and 1 night, 1 evening shift to be around the evening for people who work during the day. But you're always welcome. Come in, sit down, have a cup of coffee, ride a fire truck with us if we catch a run. Other thing I wanted to tell you about is the Fire Ops 101 you see over there. We are going to work in conjunction with the Johnson County Local Union 4252 and try to get this class put together. And what that basically is all of our elected officials, we're going to get a chance to put some fire gear on and get in the training tower, put some fire out, cut some cars up, do some CPR, just kind of let everybody know what we do and why we do it. And I'm working on seeing if we can get any members of the public in there. I don't know the legality and the liability of doing that because we've only done it for elected officials. But it's possible we might be able to sneak a couple civilians in there and spray some water, see what we do, pull some hose, hook up to hydrant, all that fun stuff. So, but we're working on it. So,
Question, do you get hazardous duty pay to do that stuff?
me or you?
Me.
I'll slide you. We'll give you a free helmet. How's that? Hang it on your wall and say you did it. So anyway, any other questions for me? Anything I can do to help you out? One thing I can assure you is, and I was raised this way, especially from my last fire chief, I'm going to do everything I can to be the best steward of the taxpayers' money that I can. We are not going to buy ridiculous things we don't need. We are going to staff this place. We are going to take care of the people that work here. And we're going to get the equipment we need to do the job. And that's what we need.
So we're getting rid of the dive team stuff.
It has been disbanded as of yesterday.
Good, are we selling it all?
Yes. As soon as the board approves that, off the asset list, I've already got 3 or 4 people. I have a big contact list over the years, and I have some people that are already interested in it. We're also working on a trade on our rescue squad, the heavy rescue, to get a piece of equipment that's a little more versatile for putting fires out in our district with the demographics that we have. So, but there's more to come on that. That'll be later.
I couldn't quite hear. What is it you're talking about getting rid of?
The dive team has been shut down.
Ah,
The scuba equipment.
We our fire department is not built to be diving. It's high risk, low frequency, and I'm not going to kill somebody to put them in the water to hook up a vehicle that's been stolen in the water for 6 months and pull it out. And when you talk about dive rescue, I don't know the exact numbers, but it's very low percentage of rescue when someone's been submerged in a vehicle. Most of it is recovery. We don't have the manpower, we don't have the training, we should have not been in that business, so we're not going to do it. It's just we're going to concentrate on putting fires out, taking people to the hospital, and cutting people out of cars.
That's awesome.
That's our focus. So that's where we're going. Any
I'd like to
questions?
make a comment. Jeff has been working probably for 6 months behind the scenes, getting some of this stuff ready. Personally, I don't think you're gonna find a better man suited for the job. So, from the trustee, we appreciate what Jeff's already done, looking forward to what he's gonna continue to do.
Well, I'll be honest and transparent with you. If you've got any questions, please ask. And if I can't answer them, I'll look into my friend bank and find somebody that can answer the question for me. So that's all I got.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. This water tastes terrible.
Yeah, but you haven't had a chance to look over this.
I have.
Seriously?
Mr. Ellis is-
Ain't right.
Have you looked at it with, have you looked this over?
That ain't good. It's not, it's, something wrong with it.
Come from Michigan or something?
Ain't right.
Kind of right.
That was a
core.
What it was when we needed to.
This is like the radio.
How are we breaking it? How is the break?
It's done totally different. You're saying 19.7. And then 15. So 25% increase. Where did they come up with those? I don't know. That's why we need to ask questions in this time.
What's comparable? What is comparable? That's what we need to know before we get done.
But even so, even if it's completely.
How long is this? Doesn't investigate things on this list.
Unless,
I don't know. I don't know. I don't see it.
It is on the bottom.
Oh, okay.
I don't see this. And he's like, oh, those strips.
I was looking for it, I couldn't.
So I assume these are the salaries that we're looking to.
This is what
yeah,
we're right.
yeah.
And board members, if you want, I did some research and I talked to some of the other chiefs. The stuff on the board here is kind of where we sit in the county. I put the health insurance, as you can see, everybody offers health and benefits, except Madison. Here's your county departments, and I also added Bargersville just
I can
because,
see why he's going to Bargersville.
yeah.
Do they have room for a 46-year-old inexperienced firefighter?
My son, he's gonna go from, well, our pay to his pension, basically 77,000 at Decatur. So, and here's the thing, do I want our guys to make 77,000? Absolutely. Am I a realist? Absolutely. I know we can't, but we can certainly pay them out of poverty. You know, I mean,
I have another question since you're on that.
anyway, sure,
All right, I know these are all local,
right.
but are you doing comparative based on population? Where is that? in
Well,
these
no, the
numbers?
population is not up here.
Yeah,
But
I
I know
know.
Martinsville, for instance, they only have about 11,000 some people. So they're pretty much the same as
Yeah,
us.
but they're
Oh, I
city.
don't think so. I would think Martinsville is.
Yeah,
probably
I'm just saying, if
11,000.
you're gonna compare apples, you need to compare apples to
Well,
apples,
what I'm
not all the
working on-
locality.
What I'm working on is a salary survey for all the departments around us, but it's gonna take me a few months to get all the data in from the other fire departments. But we're gonna come out, I can tell you this, I got documentation from the Professional Firefighters Union of Indiana, and we were 102nd out of 113.
Well, you're not gonna be comparative,
Salary.
we cannot be comparable to county and the benefits that they provide, or the town of Mooresville and the benefits they provide.
We can't, why is that?
Because we don't
Yeah,
have the
yes.
money or the assets.
What she's pointing out is that most of those, the ones up there that you've listed, they have a better tax base
Right.
than we do. We're not going to have a tax base. What we need to do is we need to first work on improving the tax base.
Correct.
We
Yes,
need to
sir.
pull businesses into Madison Township.
Right.
Right now, our
That's not fair representation. percentage?
Our budget is one of the highest in the state. We are 25th in spending per capita. And as long as we are one of the more expensive townships, I'm talking about out of 1,008 townships, we rank number 25. And we've got to do something that will attract businesses. Now, we've got a brand new interstate coming down on 69.
Yes, sir.
We have a good highway over here, 67, that is not just outside of Madison Township. Both of these highways are just barely outside. We have places we could put businesses, big
Yes, sir.
businesses.
We do.
We don't have any.
Yep, but you know what's gonna happen when that's done? We're gonna have that, because we sit in a perfect spot.
If
between
we're one of the
Mooresville and
most
Center Grove.
expensive townships in the state,
Yes,
they will go just a few miles down the road to where they can locate and have a township that isn't as expensive.
Ben, do you have any numbers on that?
I don't have them off the top of my head.
Could you look that up for us, so we can find out, I mean,
Yeah.
and compare if we have to?
I'm just speaking off the top of my head, but I can remember looking, I believe, at the last one for the population, the individual, what do
Right.
they call that, the per capita.
Mm-hmm.
And we were over $200. We were the highest in the whole county, by far. Nobody
Oh,
was,
yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody was even close to us.
That is odd.
Yeah, that's just in this county.
Right.
And I could look at other counties and print all that off. That's all available on Gateway, but
Yeah.
I'm just talking, like I said, off the top of my head, but I know
Sure.
ours was over 200.
That's
I
incredible.
will, if I can get your email address, I'll send you the spreadsheet
Okay.
of the various counties that had the population that we had, what their, what data and stuff
Yeah,
that
I'll give it to you, and then I'll give it to you, and then Ben and I can talk
Because
about it.
I
and
don't
look at
think
it.
it's fair to sit here and say Mooresville and Martinsville, because they do have benefits that we don't have access to that.
Right,
We
right.
don't. We
Right.
just don't.
But
The thing is-
Washington and the other places do. And here's the thing: this is a house fire here is the same as a house fire down there. They burn the same. We need the same people to put them out, and we have to take care of our people, or
I
we're going to
understand that, but if you don't have the money, you
Yeah.
can't do that. And I mean, and I know Larry, he's talking, he would love to be able to provide
Sure.
health insurance and stuff. And until we can rein in all the expenses that we have had from previous administrations,
Right.
that is not a possibility.
Yeah, that's why we're looking for it for 2024. I know
Well,
we can't. I
and
know
I
we can't do it
understand
this
that.
year. I totally understand that.
But I'm just saying, I've sit there and I've wrangled all these things.
yeah, yeah.
And it's not an apples to apples comparison.
Well, yeah, and when you're talking with a town and a city that has other city and town employees,
Yeah.
sure, it's going to be different.
It is different.
But when we're comparing townships to townships,
Well, I'll have that information
sure,
for you.
I would absolutely love to look at it.
Because I know one of your guys, I don't know if he's still here or not, but Chris, or Eric Brown, whatever,
Yeah.
he kept comparing us to Greenfield, and it was like, and I tried to explain to him, they are making an income because they have 9 ambulances running because they're taking wrecks off of I-70.
Yeah, Buck Creek
And-
I think has all the
Yeah,
ambulances.
and
Yeah.
it was like,
That's the
that
one he was
is
using.
not a
Yeah.
comparable thing. And the other thing is, they do have the big businesses, the warehouses and stuff.
Yeah, except they got abatements and all that. They don't even get any money
Well,
from that.
they might,
But
but.
I've got I'm good friends with the Buck Creek and Sugar Creek Township chief.
Yeah,
and I
well,
think-
and it's just,
Yeah.
and that's what I tried telling him. You're sitting here saying this, that is not an
yeah,
apples to apples
Greenfield is
comparison.
not.
We
it's
have
city.
2 ambulance,
Yeah,
you
we,
know.
we have one ambulance.
Well,
Well, tax
yeah,
and
a
whatever.
spare.
Tax abatements depreciate too. I mean, they
Right.
start out at 90%, then they go to 80%,
Right.
and then so forth. So they've got
They'll
potential
eventually
income
yeah,
down the
they'll
road.
Yeah,
And it gets better every year, so they
Yes.
can start growing, spending that money because it's coming in and it's guaranteed.
yes, sir.
So something like that, still, if as long as you can attract the businesses are, are
It's
necessary.
paramount,
We
absolutely.
have almost no businesses We have, a couple of small grocery stores and a couple of gas stations. We have more churches than we have business.
We do, they don't pay anything.
I know.
I do have a question. And again, I am new, so I'm going to ask lots of questions, and I will probably sound stupid sometimes. Regarding businesses, I agree that businesses are going to generate taxes. What is it that we can do to attract these businesses? Because it sounds like we're saying if we had these businesses, we could do this, this, and this. I'm personally not going to be out there stomping for businesses to join. I'd be glad to help somebody do that, but I mean, do we have somebody within the township that's working on attracting these businesses?
No.
Because to me, it seems
No,
like
the
we're just
township
talking down a
doesn't-
road that's not going anywhere.
I tried to get the former board years
or
ago.
something.
Like a chamber of commerce or something like that?
Something to attract
Okay.
them.
All right.
The county has economic development team. Mooresville also has economic development going on.
And we
the-
do not, correct?
We do not, as a township. Well, it wouldn't be a bad idea.
Right.
The thing,
Whose purview would that fall under to develop this? I mean, I just assume that's something that we would not do, is develop this, right? That would not be us, that would be,
normally the board doesn't do that,
The
no.
board would- I think you have to set up a special board to do that.
okay,
And I would look at the legalities of it first before I did that.
makes sense, makes sense.
But the Morgan County Redevelopment Board could be working for stuff to come into Madison Township, because we're part of Morgan County.
What you might do would be to find out when the Morgan County Economic Development, because the county should be working to try to improve the development of the economy for, all the areas of the township. And if one of you or all of you would go and advocate for the township, for them working to improve the area of Madison Township, that might be all that's necessary.
Well, I can tell you that Jeff and I have already been talking about the county attending their meetings and putting our 2 cents in for Madison Township.
Yeah, I'll be going to every county council meeting.
We have a plan to do some of this stuff as far as.
The economic
services.
development is
Yeah, I'll go
where
to
you
those
need
two.
to target
Yeah.
though, because they're the ones that will do it. The county
Right.
council does,
I
is
just
only,
want to know what's going on, so that's why I'm gonna
yeah.
get myself out there, and
Anthony said he'd go too.
they're gonna know me. I might knock on everybody's door in the township and talk to them about the fire department. I don't know.
Good luck.
But let me say this before we go any further. This is a board and administration that is committed to the fire department and to the residents. And we have already looked at fluff and things in the budget, the spending that's been happening. And be honest with you, the last 3 days since we've taken office, our heads are spinning with some of the things that we're finding. And we're straightening those things out because we don't want that kind of thing going on either. And we won't get into the weeds tonight, but we had a conversation with Mr. Ben Roger before the meeting, and we were talking about our budget and where we're at and where we can be and so forth. And there's a plan. I assure you, there is a plan, and it will be shared when it's developed, because if nothing else, we have declared ourselves to be transparent. When Mr. Roger came in, it was supposed to be me and Roger and Mr. Jeff Wilson, Chief Wilson. Mr. Johnson was in the building, so we invited him to the meeting. We have nothing to hide. It's all completely transparent because we want everybody to understand where we're going.
You know what I'm doing.
And I'll give you an example. Jeff alluded to it earlier. There's a piece of equipment that we have, an apparatus that we've had that we never should have purchased to start with, in my opinion. It's been an albatross, and we have an opportunity to unload ourselves the albatross and get a piece of equipment that we really need and not cost us any money to do so.
We're gonna make it so, number one.
Carry on.
Sorry.
Talking about the budget resolution.
Salary.
Salary budget resolution. This, is this within budget, all these increases?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
How is that in budget when it's presented this way?
I don't understand the question.
Well, number one, we don't have what last year's rates and stuff were by hour for these classifications. So we really don't know how much more.
We should never been paying these guys by the hour.
Well, I mean,
I understand.
I get it, but
yeah.
it
That's what we
is.
do.
Yeah,
It is based hourly.
it's based salary. Now, that changes.
Everybody is on salary.
Except for the part-time people. Yes.
So the payroll's gonna be done differently?
hmm It's going to be done correctly.
And what kind of accountability or how many hours are you assigning them before you deduct from that payroll? Yeah, I mean, there is a thing with salary, but you are required a certain number of hours to work.
Our firemen work 2,912 hours a year, less any vacation time they take.
They're getting paid weekly, right? Or every 2
Bi-weekly,
weeks?
yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so it should be broke down bi-weekly of
They
how
work a
many
56-hour
hours they
work
should
week.
be working.
They work a 56-hour
not
work week. 56-hour work week on
sleeping.
24/48.
You know, I'm just saying, this doesn't tell me anything. Doesn't tell me what their pay was last year,
Well,
what their hourly rate was, what you're configuring it to this year.
Right. Well, it's probably something you should just come by the office and I can explain all of it to
No,
you.
you're
No,
presenting
this is a
this.
meeting.
This is where
I
you
don't think-
present
I don't think this
this.
is his meeting.
No, this isn't. It's not for me to do that.
It's not his meeting.
It's the board, so
It
we
is the
can.
board's meeting.
Yeah.
And that's fine, but it should be presented that way. It should be presented how it was last year versus what you're changing it to
Mhm.
this year
No.
and how it converts. Yeah, it is. You're talking money.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't know your
It's
name.
within our budget.
I agree with it.
You
Great.
can't prove that.
I think what she's getting at is that she's asking if I'm understanding correctly, is she's wanting to know if this indicates some kind of a raise for anyone here. Is this working
What
out to more
percentage?
money for them
Sorry.
or
What percentage?
or comparable?
Ben, what is the percentage
Yeah, we
that
need
they
to
got?
Average about 8.6.
8 point something? Yeah.
8.6 average.
Yeah.
overall. What's the base on most of these that?
They're all about 8-ish.
Okay.
Part-time, full-time.
Trudy?
Okay. On the budget, it went up 8.46% on the wages. After you take off the chief and the assistant chief, the increase then becomes 7.6%. So I am not understanding how you get an 8% increase in wages when you also have to take in consideration some of the overtime. So I see that we paid $15 an hour from what I can gather from the salary resolution that we had last year. And so what is the hourly rate that they will be paid for 2023?
Who are you asking about? I can tell you.
Okay, let's,
Which fireman in specific are you asking
well,
about?
I don't have a name, but what,
Everybody has
you,
a different hourly rate when it's broken down.
you have like firefighter first class,
Mhm.
which we never did it this way before, but second class, third probationary,
Well, now we're doing it right, so
and
that's what's a
paramedic,
little different.
So let me chime
probationary.
in real quick. Mr. Wilson stated that the average firefighter will work 56 hours a week.
Right.
That hourly rate, which appears to be a salary of 52.5, so there would be no overtime paid where you're paying time and a half, I assume, if that's standard business practices. The hourly rate at 52.5 divided by 56 hours a work week is $18 an hour.
right. So that's what I'm saying, going from 15 to 18, I'm not understanding, that's a huge increase.
More than 8%.
But we figure it on
Way
the
above.
number of hours a year, which is 2912. You work
You're-
2448.
You're playing numbers.
No, well,
I've budgeted
I mean,
like
he's-
this
he's-
for these guys for years. I mean,
he's figuring it for the whole year too, because he's saying how much per week. You just divided.
it averages out to a 56-hour work week when you work 2448.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I'm not asking the hours. I'm saying the hourly rate that it's going to increase to, from what we are now,
Mm-hmm.
is a huge increase. It's probably around, what, 20% or something.
That's because we're paying by salary, not $15 an hour.
But we don't have a 20% increase in the budget, is what I'm saying. My concern,
That's kind of a numbers thing too.
my concern is what we have in the budget. We have to make sure that lasts the entire year.
We are well within budget. Ben and I just discussed it. We actually have extra money.
Well, when I look at these first few people on here, you have 14 people that are making $726,000, and then you only had 400,000 left, and you're gonna, it looks like on this, you're paying 10 people off of that.
10 people off of what?
On this paper,
Which one? The salary resolution? Which paper? I'm sorry, I don't know which one.
2020.
I have this paper here.
Oh, okay.
I think it's the same as
It
the
is the same.
salary.
It is the same, yes.
Yeah. So if you take the first,
It's big as well, look at that.
whatever, 6 categories, you have 14 employees that are making $726,500 for the year. Then you only have 400,000 left to pay for the other, whatever, 10 people and the lieutenant and the medic base and whatever all these other items are on here, the paramedic fill-in and all that.
Mm-hmm. Those
So you're
are
paying 2/3 of your wages.
those are stipends.
So you're paying 2/3 of your wages for the 14 people and 1/3 of your wages for all the other.
These are all stipends and longevity. That's things that go on top of their pay. Those aren't individual people.
You have 24-hour positions, part-time, there's 9 of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a stipend.
No, you said the first 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the 7th one. I was looking at the first 6. I'm sorry. It's correct. It's within budget with about 70,000 left in personnel services.
Okay, I'm asking the board, will any of you board members approve additional appropriation during the year if we run short of money? That's my question to
For
each one of
payroll.
your board members.
No.
You will not?
No,
Okay, Nelson?
I don't know.
I'm not gonna.
I mean, I gotta
approve that
look at
because
all this.
We're
I
gonna
gotta-
be in budget. That's why I'm on the position. I'm working in budget. We're not
Right.
gonna get any emergency loans or any of the other crap. We've gone through that before.
Mr. McClure?
So, I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say I will or won't do anything in the future because I don't know what will need to be occurred. So what I would tell you is in this situation here, and this is my understanding of how things work, that Mr. Ellis is responsible for the budget, correct? He's responsible as the trustee to make sure that he's responsible for the budget and we operate inside the budget. Is that correct? Am I
Yes.
wrong, Mr. Ellis?
No, that's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
So I would ask in this situation here, Mr. Ellis, with the salary proposal as it is here, do you at this time and date right now see that we were in budget and we would have no problems going forward in the future?
At this point, we're about approximately $63,000 within the budget.
63, under the budget. Okay, perfect. So, based on that information, we're at the salary resolution for 2023 right now. Based on Mr. Ellis's recommendation that we are in budget, and those that voted for Mr. Ellis, has elected him as an advocate for our township, I'm going to trust Mr. Ellis in the fact that I'm going to make a motion that we accept the salary resolution as presented to the board today.
I second that.
Mr. Johnson,
Don't have to
you gotta call
second
for a
it.
vote.
I have to call for a vote.
Oh,
Call
yeah.
for a vote. All in favor?
You gotta
Aye.
educate me.
Aye. You gonna vote?
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Passes.
Let me add
That's
one thing
that's
here.
foolish.
This salary resolution
There's no-
wasn't just something that Jeff and I came up with. We ran it past our financial advisor as well. It's not a by the seat of our pants type thing.
Okay. Moving on to the next one, Mr. Johnson.
Okay,
Well, I think they need to put some kind of provision
There's no
to
way.
meet their
I
salary
don't-
requirement
I
with
don't
hourly
see it.
work.
There is no way.
Otherwise, they're just gonna pay somebody and they're gonna take off and do whatever, and they're gonna get paid for it.
There's no way.
I don't know, I think you were just hoping to
Thanks,
ask
Ben.
questions.
This was
Any questions for the board now?
Nope, it's board items that you need to request from the board. I have no board items, this is my first meeting. Mr. Nelson, do you have any board items?
People too.
No. Mr. Johnson, any board items?
The only board item I have, I think the public would like to know what the status of this roof is.
What did you say, Jim? So it's just.
Do we have anything to add to the roof yet?
Well, I
On
think
the
there needs
roofing
to be a
issue,
clarification on the
the
salary
board wants to know about
with the hours that they're
roofing
supposed to be
issue.
working, because I've
Roofing
seen that
project.
happen.
Who would provide the update on the roofing project to the board?
That's me.
Mr. Ellis?
I emailed Mr. Haynes this afternoon, haven't received a response yet. What our stance is at this point is, my last communication with Mr. McDonough was that the Haynes roofing was gonna be starting the roofing project on 32 in a couple of weeks, weather permitting, and I have put a hold on that. The reason I put a hold on that is because we have not received the rest of the material yet that we have already paid Mr. Haynes to supply for us. The other thing is, we do not have a third estimate. Once we have a third bid, it will go to the board. The board will decide who is going to put the roof on.
Will it go to the board before you have the materials?
No, we will have the materials before it goes to the board.
Okay, we need to state
The
that.
first thing that has to happen is we have to get the material. The other part of that, getting the material, is material that's currently sitting here is of no value to us. It's been sitting in the weather for almost a year. You know anything about shingles, you don't let them sit outside in the weather. They're supposed to stay in a cool, dry place. Otherwise, they will ruin. Those have been out there for almost a year. So that's another issue we have to address. How are we gonna get a fresh batch of shingles to put on our roofs? Because for one thing, the manufacturer will not warranty those shingles if we put them on, because they've sat out in the weather. And they're supposed to have a lifetime warranty on them. What happens if those shingles go bad in 10 years? Who's gonna get stuck? The township will. So that is another issue. The fact that we need a third bid, the way the bids were written up is sketchy at best. And if you wanna stop by the office sometime, I'll show you the bids. And we have, like I said, we have nothing to hide. And I'll explain to you exactly what I see. And I will share my findings with Mr. Haynes. But at this point, I'm waiting on a response from him.
So are we in the process of getting new bids for this roofing project?
Once we get the rest of our material, we will.
Okay, so are we buying the material and we're
What has
just
happened is,
bidding
yeah,
to put
let
it
me,
on?
what happened is, we got a insurance settlement for hail damage for both of our fire stations and these two buildings and the shed out back. And, we provided Mr. Haynes with a check for $150,000 up front, which shouldn't have been done, but that's another story. He was supposed to supply all the materials once we found out what was going on. The board stepped in and said, you've got to do this properly. And so, with the attorney's advice, Mr. McDonough decided to proceed in just letting Mr. Haynes get the material and then bidding out the labor.
Gotcha.
We wrote the check for the materials December 14th of 2021, and we still do not have all the
So the
materials.
materials that are sitting out here that were wasted, I assume we've paid for these materials?
Those are paid for.
And I assume that we will not be reimbursed for these materials.
My stance is, and we'll do due diligence, obviously, my stance is, since he was not able to fulfill his contract,
Yep.
he needs to be responsible for this.
I would agree with that aspect.
Okay.
How do you know he didn't fulfill it? There's no date on the contract.
No, what I'm saying is, he has yet to provide all the material.
Right.
And in the meantime, this material's sitting out here.
So he has stored material that did not have enough to do the job, and he's stored the material out there and has not fulfilled his obligation. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct,
Okay.
to provide the rest.
I can only say as a homeowner, if I hired somebody and they're like, hey, I'm gonna leave my wood here, I can't do the job until I get to the rest of the wood, and they leave the wood there for a year, and they come out and they wanna start using the wood that's all warped and nasty now, me as a homeowner are gonna be like, no, you're gonna provide me the new material. Is my stance in
So
that
that's,
aspect.
that's our stance as well.
Okay.
And so,
Will
that's
you
how
keep
we're
us
going to
abreast on
proceed.
what happens there?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So, it's still in limbo. Again, I emailed Mr. Haynes this afternoon, and I'm waiting on a response, and then we'll go from there.
that is, right now, project's on hold until we get our material.
Are we getting a new attorney?
I think that's
Are you signing up for the job? Oh,
foregone
No, I mean, our
conclusion.
last one was pretty worthless as far as giving any information to the board or anybody else, except for Scott.
I will tell you this, everything is up for renegotiation. And
Who is
he's
our
top of
attorney?
the list. Jeff Miller.
I don't know him.
This is,
You know Ted Knowlton?
I do not, sir.
There's,
He's a possibility.
yeah, we're definitely looking at changing.
Makes sense.
Now, in this situation, though, we need to at least contact him and find out where we stand. My communication with Mr. Haynes this afternoon was, we need our material, yes, but also, what is your understanding or agreement with Mr. McDonough? We need to find out what the agreements were first, so we have solid footing,
Agreed.
so that
He's
we
not
do the
here
right
anymore.
thing and do it the right way. So, without documentation, I don't want to move forward on anything until I have documentation. I want things in writing, and that's what we need.
well, I'm sure
What
he'll
if the
send you a
attorney
bill.
doesn't give you any information? You said you've called a couple times and haven't
That was
been.
as a board member. Now, as a trustee, he is, since I'm the trustee, he's obligated to give me information, because he is
Agreed.
the attorney for the township.
I mean, that makes sense to me. I mean, the fact that he's like technically, you're his retained client and stuff, so.
Legally speaking, the attorney works for
Any other requested items from the board? Again, I don't have any.
questions? That's why I went. That was my big one.
Moving on
You
to
have
the
any
next one.
questions of? Okay,
Public comments.
open it up to the public. Anybody, comments?
Are you changing it, making any changes to the meeting schedule? That should be part of the reorganization, is stating the new meeting schedule and the time and so forth.
Well, we kinda like Thursday nights, 7:00. That's
Okay.
still okay with you?
Thursdays
Of
or
course.
Tuesdays?
Okay, well, make sure.
I just wanted to,
Now, we're gonna have the next meeting date at this meeting, I'm gonna come up with a date here.
okay,
And we'd like to have it about, how often do you want?
I would say we need a minimum of every other month,
Okay,
every 2
so
months.
do we wanna set
Because at this point, there's so much going on that we need to keep
Monthly.
everybody informed. That's why I said minimum of every 2 months, so the board can decide how often they want
Yeah.
to meet.
And we've gotta have another one this month anyway, too, don't we?
We'll have to get to that in just a minute.
Okay,
That's what I was gonna ask, so we can surplus the dive gear
yeah,
and the other vehicle,
right, 'cause we have to prove that.
yeah, because
That's
Speaking
not
of
a
vehicles,
resolution.
let me fill you in on a thing. We're gonna, let me say this. Later on this month, we're gonna have a meeting, and it's gonna be basically mostly informative. It's kind of a state of the township meeting, if you will. We wanna get every resident that we can here. So if you'll help us do the job to get this room filled, that'd be great. But what we wanna do is, we wanna inform everybody what has been going on, what the status is of the issues that are going on, but we also want to tell them where we're going and how we're gonna get there. So it's not all negative, oh, no, we have a plan, and we wanna share our plan with the residents and let them be involved and ask questions and make comments about our future here at Madison Township.
I love a plan and I love goals, so that sounds good to me. So do we need to set the next meeting date now?
If there are no other questions.
Trudy?
Were you gonna bring up the correction on the minutes?
Oh, I didn't bring it with me, but, we'll have it at the next meeting. There was
I have it
a,
right here.
you got it there?
Yeah.
In the last meeting,
June the
appropriation
23rd,
meeting in June, there was an error, on our concrete
on the minutes.
appropriation. It was listed at 38,000, which was the same amount for the ladder equipment, but the concrete appropriation is in reality 45,000. So that correction needs to be made, and it'll be made in our records.
That was in the minutes already.
Yes, it was in the
It was
minutes.
correct.
It's supposed to be 45,240.
Right, but it had gotten,
It was
For some
correct on page 1, but on page 3, it was not listed correctly.
Okay.
so we need to make that correct.
So on page 3 is where the correction is at.
Are you saying we're making that correction the next meeting?
We can make it this meeting if you want,
Yeah, we can do that.
because we have a copy.
Okay,
That's all it, we will attach it to the current meeting.
okay.
The minutes that are already exist.
I've got the correction.
I would make it, I would.
Can I see a copy of the correction so I can make sure that I'm attaching something to something I can see?
Here's
Is
the
this it?
concrete, this is what we were working on, concrete, fine, concrete. Here.
Sure, yeah, thank you, Dan.
Here's the,
Yeah.
here's the correct amount here,
Okay.
and then page 3. and happens
Looks like we have,
38
okay.
here and 38 here. So this one was the correct one, this one.
So the correct one's 38 or the correct one's 45?
45.
Okay.
45.
This one should be this,
Gotcha. Okay.
but that's how the mistake
Nope,
was.
that makes sense. That makes sense. Do we need to
Yeah.
change that and initial that on here then, I take it? Is that what we recommend,
Yeah, we'll
Larry?
go ahead and do that.
So,
45, 54. Who will address the cost?
Not even
We can, yeah, let's do it. Well, if you want to, yeah.
board member, I guess at least
I mean,
he's
we got,
trying to do
if I'm
job.
We do a little thing.
so we probably should take care of one thing at a time. So we need to make a motion to accept the corrections on the meeting notes from June 23rd meeting. The correct amount for the concrete is $45,240. That information is indicated in paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Looks like 9 and 10. So I'll make a motion to accept the correction to the meeting minutes.
I'll second that. All in favor,
Mr.
say
Johnson?
aye.
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 You're getting a stack there, Jim.
Yeah, okay,
Okay, you want me to speak to the cots? Or
let's
you-
speak to the cod, because that was brought up the last meeting, we had staff on that.
Okay, we had quite a discussion on power load cots and a power load system. At this point, we now have 2 used power cots that the previous administration purchased. And now we are looking to pay for those cots, which we will get done, but we do have 2 power load cots now.
So what is a power load cot?
Power load cot, basically, with a gurney, I'll call it a gurney, for lack of a better term. For the ambulance, normally, you would release the lever to drop the legs, you would release.
Want us to go get
back
one?
up.
No.
Yeah, get one.
We'll try one.
Go ahead.
So is it automatic?
Go get the ambulance. Scott. Roll that bad boy in here, right here.
Put it right up here. We have an automatic load system coming that the previous
Is one of the old
administration
cots still here or no?
should be here at the end of January.
Bring the old one in here. We're gonna let
So
somebody lift
how
it.
much were these 2 used
These
cots
2 units cost were a little over $23,000.
each?
No, for the pair.
Do we get them on eBay?
No.
You remember the last meeting when we were talking about the cots, on that list, they had about 43,407.
So where was this money supposed to be coming from?
This is,
That
Really
included
wanna
the
know?
power
Yeah, you
load
wanna-
system though, right?
That was part of an additional appropriation, wasn't it?
No, it was
No.
not.
no, we did not.
It was requested.
Well,
That's
that's
not
what
our
I mean.
discussion.
That it came up as an additional appropriation.
Let me just say this, we are, in one sense, we are very
Mhm.
grateful that they did not pay for them already, because we believe the intent was to pay it out of money that had already been appropriated for something else.
So do we still owe this money then?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, but we just wanted people to see what their money bought
Yeah,
and
we'll let
see
you look
what,
at it.
because this has been this power cut thing has been an ongoing saga for quite some time.
Yes.
So,
We were actually the only fire department-based ambulance service anywhere around us that did not have a power cot. We had manual cots still,
and they were borrowed.
and they were borrowed.
What's the
We didn't even
weight
have
limit
one
on
dollar.
cots?
About 700.
Okay. And
Ours are
before you
700
were,
rated.
700, yes,
If you
700.
watched the
Well,
Purdue
say-
game, you saw one.
and before you had to lift in manually.
If you watched the
correct?
Purdue game, you saw one because they loaded that new player.
Oh, yeah.
With the backboard up on the, but that's what you're talking about, right?
Hmm?
This is,
Yeah. The boys will get one, bring it in here. They gotta go out to the spare ambulance and get it.
but we do have those now. So,
They're a lifesaver.
yeah, unfortunately,
On your backs.
unfortunately, we weren't able to purchase them earlier at a much less cost. but now we do have them, and it is still a good savings.
So are we gonna be talking about later about paying for those now, or is this something we're trying to?
No, that's, we'll work it out of the firefighting fund or wherever we need to take it out. But we just wanted everybody to be aware that what we got,
Transparency, I get it.
what occurred, and how we ended up with it.
Are we good on public comments, questions now this time?
Yeah, we certainly have that.
Are they coming, Austin?
I believe so.
They had to dig it out, probably,
Yeah.
because the ambulance was parked too close to the ladder.
It's not totally done because you can
Any
sit
other,
there and do
any other
it.
questions after the copy?
I keep adding stuff for you.
Actually, I mean, if I may, Austin Monday, Vice President of the union here at Madison, I just wanted to say that from the men and women here, we appreciate what you guys have been doing and what's to come, so what's happening tonight, so.
Well, trust me, we appreciate your service. I can speak from recent usage of said service. A little over a month ago, at 6 a.m. in the morning, I got a call from my son, 19, on the way to work, that he'd gotten a wreck. As any parent knows, that's one of the scariest calls you can ever get. I called him back, and he told me he was in the back of an ambulance. Showed up on the scene, and the men and women of Madison Township were there, and they took good care of him. He hit a telephone pole head on. It was a pretty situation, so I thank you all for your service.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Which
That thing
one's
was
this?
a lot of fun.
So
This is
these-
the manual cotton. Stevie's bringing the power cut sheet.
So,
Just the manual one?
this is what we used to have. Austin, guys, lower that down.
How much does that weigh? They can take it, they're big guys.
Take a seat on that there, Austin.
Put somebody on it now,
Yeah.
Carter. Strap them in.
So this is what we've been using for years. You guys, Jeremy, you good with that with your back? Don't do it if you're not. His back is injured
From this.
from this.
Back surgery.
I'm gonna put it down again.
You holding on?
Now I'm here to tell you, about 40% of the customers we have are 300 pounds or bigger.
How much do you weigh on that?
That's why you want to be 200 pounds?
Right.
You're only 200.
So,
Well, with the gear,
I've already had one back.
I'm not saying you're fat. I'm just saying you're
Tall.
now these, well,
Take it in.
Yeah, that's a problem. Yeah, that's a problem.
yeah.
I know.
so this is one of the these cots are used, but they're refurbished by the company.
So they look a lot alike,
He's hard.
you lift a belt back there, but one click of a button.
Now this is what we're using.
Well, I would like to see it.
Greg, you want to get on there and take a ride up?
Also, when you're lifting with those manual cops, especially overweight people, and
I
they're
can just
already stressed
imagine
out,
being on that.
Jump up
Take
there
a
if you
ride,
want.
don't
Take a ride around the parking lot.
So anyway, this is what we switched to now. And the load system that goes with this is a system that's mounted in the back of the ambulance. So we don't have to lift it and put it in the ambulance anymore. The load system connects to it, lifts it up, and rolls it in the back of the ambulance by itself.
I just think of, receiving one of the residents here that might be 300 pounds or so. I can say, I'm sure. Yeah.
Two fire trucks.
No, those are nice.
Yeah, we're good. Thank you. Next meeting, we can find the area.
So, Mr. Jim, I think we're done with the public comments. I think we need to.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Good demonstration.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah.
Nice.
You said you're wanting to have one in January,
We can
right?
do anything. We can go look at fire engines, wherever, anytime.
You're still wanting to stay on Thursday?
Anytime.
And don't forget about us down at 31 Kitchen Road. Come visit.
That's where all the good runs
Well,
are.
yeah.
And at that time, we can map them out for the rest of the year.
I'm good with anything. You name it, and I'm
Thursday,
there.
19, 7 p.m.
Got it.
What was the date?
Thursday the 19th.
1:19, 7 p.m.
It's different than that.
Mr. Ellis, we told
I'm
him
on
at
duty
that
anyway,
meeting,
so.
we will set the meetings for the rest of the year during that time frame, so everybody has those, unless an emergency comes up or something that we need to call. But 1:19 at 7 p.m.
Got it.
And we're hoping to have a PA system by then so everybody can hear.
What?
We're,
EA.
Even the ones
I almost got
with.
it.
I was
Are we gonna
say,
bring in
he
Don Fisher
deserves
to
that.
announce the meeting? Mike, we gonna bring in Don
He
Fisher
hears that
to
all
allow you
the
to
time
announce
at
the
home.
meeting?
So when was this money?
Special guest.
I understand,
So my question is still, where is this money for these cots coming out of?
it will come out of firefighting fund or one of the line item budgets, but it'll.
Because
it'll be
where
paid
was
for.
where was it supposed to have come out of when they bought it?
Like I said, their intention, as we know, was to use money that was already appropriated, which would have been a big fat no-no.
While we're on it, what happens to the money that was appropriated in June that did not get used?
It will have to be reappropriated, and unlike the concrete project, we will rebid it. And on the concrete project, what we will do is we will set our specs, and it will be bidded to our specs, not to their specs.
I thought you had wanted those funds to go into the rainy day fund. There's several minutes that,
Originally, we did, but at this point, I don't think it's gonna be necessary. Because we have different players in the game now.
I don't get it. It's like when you're saying that you're gonna put it back in there and now you're not because there's different players.
That's correct. Well, how can I put this?
There's smart spenders and there's not smart
You
spenders.
probably can't politically correct.
Okay, I'll put it to you just bluntly.
Put it.
We didn't trust the past administration, but we trust this one.
Okay.
That's just being blunt about it.
So then let's go.
Now, it can be done if the board so chooses.
Every political group does that.
It would be up to the board to do that.
I think we'll figure that out in good time.
We'll see how you handle it.
We don't need to change the rules now.
Mr. Grassley, you wanna make a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I second the motion to adjourn. All
All
in favor?
say aye.
Yeah.
Meeting adjourned at 11 p.m.
That's into that.
I can keep this fancy pen or what?
Man.
Well, you're-